All right, welcome everybody to another eye opener. This is Market Wealth Daily's quick little video chats that we do with top traders, and we got Blane Markham back with us. And hopefully, we got some room for some more folks in this room with us because these sessions have been great, and we are really excited to have everybody here. Want y'all to join us. We want you to get engaged in the chat with us too. So right now, I'm making sure that we have got everything set. You can tell us what you think, what you want, and what questions you have, and we'll try to respond to it. Blaine, great to have you here. Happy Monday to you. I hope you had a great weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks so much, John. Thanks for having me here today. Always excited to sit down and do these eye openers, and I love getting to share some market commentary with folks. But yeah, happy Monday to you. It was a great weekend here for us. Had a great time with the family. Spent a little time by the pool with the girls yesterday, so they were loving that. So hope you had a good
I
weekend as
bet.
well.
Yeah, it was good. Doing some work around the house. That's my thing. Always working on projects. And again, I still have all 10 fingers, so I'm going to call it a win. Didn't take any
Always a
off.
good way to come out of the weekend with 10 fingers, that's for sure. Um,
Yeah, right.
but well, I think I better go ahead and hop into the analysis I brought today because I know as much as the folks like hearing about our weekend, they probably showed up more to hear about some of the charts and things that I'm seeing going on here. But I'm going to
I
go
bet
ahead
you're
and
right.
hop right into this, John. As I always like to do, I like to really start off these analyses of the markets and stocks, just looking kind of from the 10,000 foot view, looking at the index and just seeing what I see here. So, of course, if you've pulled up CNBC or financial reporting today, anything you probably have seen. Oh, surprise, surprise. We're just continuing the trend of late. We've broken out to new all-time highs yet again. At current levels, you can see we're trading, well above 6,300. The highest level the S&P has ever traded at was hit today, intraday. And if we close at current price levels, this again will be a new record all-time closing high. So of course, John, right off the bat, right on the face of things, that's incredibly bullish, right? We know from looking at historical data, when the market breaks out to new all-time highs, uh, the new all-time highs typically tend to cluster together, and you typically don't just get one or two. You typically get several over a longer period of time. And we're seeing that play out now. We've been hitting new all-time highs really ever since this stretch right here in late June when we kind of broke out of this consolidation pattern. It's been continuing on. Last week we had been really telegraphing that stocks had been trading above that upper Keltner channel in overbought territory for almost about 3 weeks at that point. That was also being reciprocated and other oscillators, kind of like RSI, showing that stocks were a little overheated and were certainly due for a bit of a pullback. And we got that last week. We got that on Wednesday. It's really when things started to kind of turn around. We opened at a new all-time high and then finished near the lows of the day on that session. And then we traded down on this bar right here. So we got to pull back almost all the way to the middle Keltner channel right there. But by the end of the day, stocks started rallying. Buyers started coming back to the market in large quantity. And stocks closed at the highs of the day that day. And ever since then, we've been rallying ever since, coming off of those lows intraday on Thursday. So, we're starting to creep back a little bit into overbought territory yet again here, John. We obviously haven't
Yeah.
been as overextended for as long as we were. Kind of like, looking, the setup coming into last week was a little different than what we're looking at right now since we just popped right back into that. But I mean, you can see that the S&P right here, it is trading, clear bit above the upper Keltner channel. Starting to see that RSI creep up. It's clearly above 70. It's right at about 80 right now on the 5-day RSI. So you're starting to get back into that little overheated territory. But as we've learned recently, stocks can remain in that overbought territory and continue running for longer than you may expect. Just as we saw right here, stocks were starting to get overbought at this point, but they continued to hit several all-time highs from there. So that doesn't mean we're gonna go right back down to the middle Keltner channel tomorrow. Certainly that could happen, but we could also continue this current rally from here. And I think there's a lot of things pointing to that very likely could be the case. So that's kind of what we're expecting here, John. That's what we're seeing on the charts. Of course, the trend underlying stocks still firmly intact. We still have all of our significant long and short term technicals lined up quite well. Stocks are still making higher highs and higher lows, so we'd love to see that right off the bat right there.
Yeah, interesting. To your point, you can live in this space. It definitely warrants some additional attention. So you got to be mindful of that. But it is not an absolute that things are going to pull back. We definitely want to keep our eyes open for that. But you got, and again, you can see too. You've got a couple indicators there, kind of looking at that overbought status, RSI and the Keltner channel. So definitely something you want to have multiple confirmations on before you take any kind of action or panic. Good to get that perspective, Blane. Really appreciate it. The trade that you gave us the other day did really nicely. So pretty excited to kind of have you take a look and maybe look at that, but definitely looking at what you got on your radar for the next trade.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can pull up a chart of that one real quick. I believe actually both the trades I looked at last week have turned out pretty well, but I know the one from Wednesday, of course, KKR. Let's pull that one up here. Yeah,
You
Wednesday,
have
I
to you have to
believe.
spell right. Just to give you, I don't know if you realize that before, but
Offensive lineman fingers, it's stuck with me, Sometimes they just hit the wrong key. I have no idea.
there you go.
But yeah, I think the day I pointed out was, I believe it was this bar, maybe right here. I think it was this one. It rallied strongly through the end of the day, and it's continued rallying on since then. So, of course, KKR's turned out quite well. So that one, that trade I spotted, all the technicals were kind of aligning on that chart for what I would be looking for a, short to medium term play there. I know that option has done quite well. I think the last time we checked, it was up about 55% or so,
Yeah.
since last Wednesday. So that one's doing quite well. But the next couple things I want to point out here, John, kind of building on what I started with,
Yeah.
something we're
If I
seeing.
could, let me
Yeah,
jump in
go.
really quick, Blaine. I just want to remind everybody because, we got a
Yeah.
handful of folks in the room with us, but I know a lot of people watch the replay of these things. This is a really important thing. However you're getting this information right now, however you're viewing this, we want it to be as timely as possible because it takes a while to edit this, to get this done and get this back out. But if you're in the room, you're getting this firsthand. So we really want to encourage people to be in these sessions with us. We also want to get the questions from you. Make sure that the chat's working right. And sorry, guys, sorry for the noise. So I have diabetes. That's my glucose monitor going off. I'm not going to die, but it's telling me to be careful. It's kind of like the warning that you guys are getting about being oversold. You're not necessarily going to see a reversal, but it could happen. Pay attention. So one of these days, maybe we'll pull up the correlation between my glucose chart and the stock chart and see how that looks. It's that could be fun.
Well, I might have to
But
go and pull
yeah,
up my Uber Eats here, John, and send a some lunch over your way. How about that?
there you go. Yeah, no, I got a bucket of snacks here at my desk. It's not my first rodeo. I've been down this road before, but it's also great when you're streaming music from your phone and all of a sudden your glucose monitor goes off and the whole party stops and has a panic attack. Anyway, uh, yeah, no, so interested in what leads you to these trades. That's the thing. So we see this doing well. We see it really performing well. I'm always interested in let's go back and kind of revisit what brought this trade to your attention.
You're talking about the KKR trade?
Yep, exactly.
Yep. Yeah. Well, so I don't have the exact technicals pulled up on this one that I did when I spotted the trade the other day. But, of course, one of my favorite technical buy signals that I like to follow, it's looking at the 21-day EMA and the 63-day EMA. And we're actually going to touch on that here in just a second. But that's actually what I spotted for, the trend following, a trend line buy signal that I spotted for this one just a couple weeks ago. So, of course, the technicals were aligned there. Stock is clearly showing a lot of relative strength. It's been making a very consistent series of higher highs and higher lows coming off those April lows, just a couple months ago right there. And then of late, just particular, the stock has been showing very impressive relative strength compared to the overall market. If you were to overlay, say, a ratio chart or something here, you would see that KKR, even though the S&P has been breaking out to new all-time highs, you would see KKR even outperforming that on a percentage, return basis each day. It's been outperforming even the market as it's hitting all-time highs lately. So, it was just a really strong, bullish thrust of momentum behind the stock. That was abundantly clear in the charts. And the day I spotted the trade, of course, it had just come off of hitting a new series of short-term higher highs and had pulled back to roughly the middle Kettler channel. And it was fairly close to the open that day when I first spotted it. Of course, by the end of the day, it had a big rally up, and that move continued just as I thought it was likely set up for. So those are the things that I saw in the chart that kind of lent to me saying like, hey, this is a really great trade opportunity. It's what made it look really attractive that day. So those were kind of the things that went into that decision.
That's great. Well, and is that something that then I know you kind of answered this already. You said it's something that you're looking at again for the next trade. It's great to get these trades from you that work well. I'm never going to complain. In fact, not only am I not going to complain, I'm going to keep forcing you to give us some more of them. But I'm always interested in how you find them, I it's a lot of work. You can't simplify this. You can't gloss over the amount of time that it takes to get this stuff set up. And then once you have it set up, it's not like, oh, well, here, just use this indicator and that indicator. And it's like, oh, okay, miraculously trades are going to fall out of the sky into my lap. It takes that homework that you do. And that's part of why some of the programs that you have available for traders makes so much sense. I don't want people to think that it's like, oh yeah, no, here all I got to do is just plug in this indicator and that indicator. Now you kind of have to scan a little bit. You have to have some more reliable tools to then not just see this initial signal, but to confirm it. So I'll step back and let you go into the trade that you were looking at, but I just wanted to point that out to folks that these are great. It's great to have these things handed to us, but there's more there, and it takes some work to find them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I really appreciate it, John. And yeah, it's great to sit down and do all the research, and I love doing that. But certainly, having these, time tested, proven over time, trading systems and strategies and tools that we've developed, they certainly are a major help, providing an assist to help find some of these opportunities. Just because you start scanning, say an index like the Russell 1000. I mean, you're looking at 1,000 stocks. I mean, sometimes you have to have some systems kind of doing some legwork for you. You just kind of tell it what to do, and you have it do some of the easy grunt work for you, and you kind of pick the cream from the crop. But that's kind of how I found one of these setups today. So one thing, John, you probably have seen kind of in my own trade selection strategy. When you're in a really strong bull market, you have great momentum behind stocks. You do want to try and find, at least the sectors and industries that have some of the strongest momentum and relative strength behind them. And one of those of late, of course, it's been undeniable. It's the financials. They're one of the top sectors. Of course, technology is outperforming right now. Financials are outperforming. Industrials are outperforming. That's just from a sector level. So, those are our top three leaders right now. We are starting to see a lot of signs of, increasing breadth and, more and more, pockets of the market starting to participate, which is exactly what you would want to see for a long-term durable bull market. But, of course, we still like to look at these, these leaders of the market, especially when we anticipate they're going to continue to be leaders of the market. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now for XLF. So this is just a chart of the XLF sector spider, financial ETF right here. So this is just kind of showing you the recent really strong performance behind the financial sector. But this is not specifically where the trade is. I pulled pulled things back just a little bit, just to dig a bit deeper into the financials. Although, this looks like a really attractive trade setup, I thought there was one that looked even better, pulling it back, and it was zeroing in on this one right here. It's FITB. This is Fifth Third Bancorp. This is one of the more preeminent regional banks. So this is not one of the big money centers, like a JP Morgan Chase or Wells Fargo, Bank of America. Not a big investment bank like Goldman Sachs, nothing like that. This is a smaller regional bank outfit. But again, you can look at the recent chart right here. I mean, the chart tells a lot. But just what I'm seeing here, of course, you can see coming off those April lows, just a very impressive V-shaped recovery in this stock. Really strong series of higher highs and higher lows. Hasn't quite broken out to new all-time highs yet, like some of the bigger banks have. But just a very, very bullish looking chart here for this one. You can see This is speaking to those EMAs I was talking about earlier. This red one right here, of course, is our 21-day EMA. The green line here is our 63-day EMA. And you can see when our bullish convergence happened right here, just about the end of the first trading week in June. You can see that red line crossed above our green line. And ever since then, you can see the gap between the two of those substantially widening out. So you can see, it's is indicating a strengthening buy signal according to that technical trend line there for FITB. And then, of course, you can see in the last couple of weeks, the stock was trading certainly within overbought territory in the short term. You can see it was outside of the upper Keltner band there. It's being reciprocated lower in the RSI chart too. But ever since then, through last week's trading, you see the stock pulled back down to the middle Keltner channel. It touched it on that day right there. Kind of traded the intraday lows several times right near there. And then you can see today, there's been, were several candles and bars last week that we're signifying that, this stock traded down to that level, but a lot of buying pressure was coming back in the markets and was likely going to resume that bullish uptrend higher. And that's exactly what's happening today. We can see the stock, it's starting to rally again. It's not quite near the upper channel yet. It's still in a really attractive trade setup at current price levels. You can see it's currently trading just a little bit above 43.50 per share. Again, you can see on the RSI down here, we're not above the level of 70, but we are above the level of 50. So we're not overbought, but we're, in bullish territory, and seeing that RSI rising, that's indicating bullish momentum, building behind the stock. So all the technicals are starting to line up for this one right here. Looks like a really solid short-term trade opportunity. So, with this one right here, they still are a ways out from reporting earnings, and we're right in the middle of earnings season. So I have to be mindful of that right now. But the trade that I zeroed in on was looking at a call option for this one specifically. And it was these August 15th call options. That's the option chain I looked at. That's the expiration. And specifically this 39 strike call right here. It was about 10 cent lower earlier. So it's currently coming in at about 485 right now. So I'll go ahead and you can see I put it into our call option calculator there. Let me see what the stock was at. It's 43.56 now. So I'll update this just to give you an accurate analysis of this. But you can see I put it into the call option purchase calculator here, and some really nice upside potential on this one. So you can see if FITB were to increase by 5% come option expiration, sitting on a near 40% return with that one. And then again, of course, these calculations are based on at option expiration. You can see if FITB were to increase by 10%, obviously a pretty big move in a bank stock, but it certainly is possible. You can see in that scenario right there, this call option will be setting on a near 84% return. So, I really like the risk reward with that one. It's costing you under $500 to put this trade on. It's currently about 485, 490 per contract. And John, I was actually going to do something a bit different than normal. I was actually going to go ahead and place this trade on today's call. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my
Some
limit
skin
order
in the
in.
game, huh? This is the real
Yeah,
deal.
yeah. Yep, yeah, putting my money where my mouth is. So I really like this one. So I was going to go ahead and just place this. And so, putting just one contract, of course, putting my limit price at the midpoint between the bid and the ask, like we always like to do, and just go ahead and fire that one off, and we'll see if it gets filled. Looks like it did. So it got filled right at the midpoint. So easy as that right there.
That is not just kind of some number that you're pulling out of thin air. That's an actual trade. So we're going to follow that one. I'll be interested if getting the update on Wednesday and see how it looks and see how you did, and if you're buying lunch or if I'm buying lunch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll see for sure. Yeah, if hopefully it's a big winner and we can go out for steaks.
There you go. I'm with you on that one. I love that. Again, really good looking at how you kind of get to that point where you're spotting these trades. You almost make it look too easy. It's a little deceiving, and anybody can do this, but you just can't do it without making the big commitment of time and effort. And the great thing about some of the, like I said, the programs, the services that you offer that you guys put together, it makes it possible to take a lot of that work out of it, and you're getting something for what you're putting into it. You get these trades personally, and everybody's different. You could have a portfolio of a bunch of different accounts doing different things. I've got maybe 3 to 5 trades going at any given time personally. And it's a lot of work. We talk about maybe 1, 2 trades a week that may or may not fit my profile, but you got to be able to get ideas if you're going to be able to be successful at trading. You need to have a lot of trading setups that you can evaluate. Do they fit your parameters, your risk tolerance, all that stuff? By having these services, for me, that's the value of it. That's what it really brings. It's like, here, let's put these out there for you. Of course, in these sessions, you've been absolutely red hot. So that's great. So it's wonderful to have those. All the trades work out. We're not ever going to say that. You're going to have some that just don't pan out. Hopefully, we're giving you a lot of instructions on how to manage those so you can steer through that, navigate that, and then be ready for the next one that hopefully will be a winner. But having somebody put all of those opportunities in front of you is really the big value. So really appreciate you taking the time to do that with us today, Blane.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's what we're here for. We love, I obviously understood, time is the biggest variable for most folks. It takes a lot of time to, do all the legwork, do all the research, find these opportunities that, truly are some of the, most high probability, best looking opportunities out there at any given time. But that's what we love to do. That's what we're sitting here all day doing. We've designed tools to make it easier to help, find spot some of those opportunities. They're built around some of our, again, like I said earlier, some of our time-tested technical analysis systems, that have, been, very productive. But that's exactly what we're here for. We love doing this, love to get to sit down and, chats like this and spot these opportunities, kind of show people exactly how our mind works. And we're looking to, try and, find these pockets of opportunity out there in the market. So appreciate the opportunity. And yeah, you're too kind talking about some of the recent trades. I never like to try and get too big-headed and too confident. The market has a funny way of always trying to be able to humble you pretty quickly when you think you've got it figured out. So never try to get
Yeah.
too big-headed with that one, but appreciate the kind words.
Yeah, no worries. We're all in it together. We're kind of all trying to work together to find the big win. So we're with you on that. I know I know exactly what you're talking about there. But great to have you, and we're going to be back on Wednesday, folks. If make sure you join us, and again, log in so you can be here and get this stuff right out of the gate. We're going to be watching this one. We'll update on the Telegram channel, kind of how it's doing, and give people some heads up on that. We've had a lot of really positive feedback about that channel and the timeliness, and it is finally a way that we can connect with people in a way that they get the information quick enough. It's tough, a lot of restrictions getting stuff through the funnel to get out to you guys. A lot of things
Mhm.
holding that up. Works well, grateful for it. But the Telegram thing is real time and makes it a lot more helpful. Blane, you take care. We will be back on Wednesday, everybody, and we'll talk to you then.
Yep, awesome. Thanks so much, John. Appreciate you having me.